Step out into the open air and claim your freedom waiting there.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Coffee in the Corral. I'm Abigail Hobbs. These are my 4 beautiful horses. Sorry, my daughter listened to this. She's going to be like, Mom, 3 of those are yours. 1 is mine. So let me clarify. I have my 3 beautiful horses and my daughter's 1 beautiful horse. Rayanna is center stage at the moment. My daughter's Mustang. We have Sky over here. If you're watching the video, she's to my far left. And then my unlikely twins, Zell and Faye, are over here eating right underneath the trees. You should be able to see them all in the video, so make sure you hop over to YouTube. Actually, I think Nate figured out how to add the video version of this podcast to Spotify, so you don't even have to go to YouTube. Hi, everybody. I missed you. It seems like it's been a long time. I guess it's just been a week, but it's been a long week for me. So it feels like a year. So yay, I'm glad to be back, and sitting in the corral with my horses today feels amazing. We have a beautiful wind. It's in the 70s today, thank goodness, because it has been deathly hot. And I'll go into more detail about how death relates to heat in just a minute. But I've got my hot drink here with me this morning. Just trying to take a breath and collect my thoughts before I launch into everything that I want to talk about today. Thanks for showing up again. I hope you guys had a great week. And yeah, anyways, here we are. Hi, everybody. Oh my goodness. I feel like I have so much catching up to do. So today I'm going to talk about ageism. And if you haven't heard that term, you should look it up. It's an actual term. It's been around a while, actually. I have started listening to the audio version of the book. It's called This Chair Rocks. And it's by Ashton Applewhite. She talks about ageism and what it's like in our society and our culture and how it's affecting everybody, and addresses the prominent lifelong question of why are we all so afraid to age. It's been really interesting and perfect for this season of life that I'm in right now. Hi, Zell. Zell's over here to say hi, everybody. Hey, sweet girl. So I don't have coffee today. I actually have Ticino. Oh, hi. Oh my goodness. Fionna's over here nuzzling on me too. It's like they snuck up from behind me. I have Ticino today. It's a non-caffeinated type of, I don't know. It's technically an herbal drink, but it's delicious. It kind of tastes like coffee, and it's my solution to not drinking coffee right now. Okay, these twins are at it. You guys have to watch the video. They are seriously in my business. You guys, boundaries. Rayanna, Fayana, I don't think you like Ticino, but maybe you do. I'm letting her try it. Fayana just tasted Ticino, and folks, oh my. So Fayana does not like coffee. She's never been able to get her to drink it, but this Ticino she is totally digging. Oh my gosh, she loves it. Here, you want some, Zell? And I'm trying to make sure Fayana shares with Zell. What you got, ants on you? When horses stomp their feet really fast, like stomp, 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 stomp. Uh-oh, no, you can't come through here. Zell's trying to fit through this really skinny space. I don't want you to get hurt, sweetie. When horses stomp their feet really fast, like 3 to 4 times in a row, they're trying to get ants off their feet. So like one stomp or a couple stomps while they're standing there is like a fly's on my leg, but like stomp, 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 that's ants crawling up their feet. It's really cool to kind of be able to know the difference, and that's how they get the ants off their feet. And Zell is very sensitive to any insect at all on her body, so if there's any ants around, you'll know it, because Zell is going to be the one stomping first. Okay, my twins, you can't have all my drink. So I didn't talk about this last week because I had an amazing sorry, I can't talk. An amazing guest. I'm going to try to slow myself down here. Christine Baird came on and talked about her passion of advocating for the child care system, and it was a really amazing podcast. But I didn't get a chance to fill you guys in with what had been going on with me previous to that. So a week before that podcast, I had gotten heat exhaustion, a really, really bad case of it. I did a 25-minute run in the middle of the day, like 3 p.m., and it was one of the hottest days that we've had yet. It was like 105 degrees. It was 114 with the heat index. Anyways, I never run in the middle of the afternoon, but the only reason I did was because I have an upcoming triathlon in the beginning of September, and it's in the middle of the day. I've never seen them actually schedule a race for the middle of the day. And so I started kind of panicking, thinking, oh my gosh, I don't ever run, and now I'll bike in the middle of the day because that's different. It's not as hard, but running in the middle of the day, I do that early in the mornings, especially in the summertime. But I was thinking, well, if I'm going to be able to do this triathlon, I have to start training in the middle of the day. So I get used to that. My body has to adjust to that. Long story short, I went to go on a run in the middle of the day, and the day before I had done like a 10-mile bike ride in the heat of the day, but I was fine. So I thought, well, it should be okay. But it wasn't okay. It was horrible. I barely made it back to the house. I started rinsing my body down with the hose and drinking coconut water, but it was everything I could do to not pass out. My girls had to lay me down on the living room floor, put a fan on me and start spraying me and put ice on me, and it's this whole thing. And I thought, okay, kind of scary, but after about 30 minutes of laying there and having the ice on me and the fan, I felt better, so I could get back up and not feel like I was going to fall over and be too dizzy. So, Teo, stop digging. So I thought, okay, whatever. And that night I was supposed to go to the gym and go swimming and work out, and Nate and Jennifer were like, no, you're not going to the gym. You need to take the night off. Well, it turns out I needed more than the night, and as the days progressed, I researched more into heat exhaustion, learning more about it. And it takes weeks to recover from, months, and for some people, even longer than that. Basically, what happens and what happened in my situation too is if you overheat so much that the system in your body, your thermoregulating system that helps you to regulate your heat and your cold, basically dies. It gets killed with the heat. And at those temperatures that I was running in, when I turned around and come home, there was no wind. And I felt like I was literally getting baked alive in an oven. It was horrible. And it's the first time I've ever run that I felt like I think I might die. This is really dangerous. So it scared me. But what happens, they said, is your internal organs actually start to kind of melt inside of you. You get so overheated, and for that long amount of time, anything past 30 minutes is extremely dangerous, and you can die. So I didn't even realize how close to really, really, really bad I had gotten until I had spent days and days in recovery and had to do more research on it, trying to figure out why is this taking me so long to recover from. Well, it's a lot of a bigger deal than I realized. So anyways, last week, so what I thought would take me a day to recover has taken me I'm going on 2 weeks. This Wednesday will be 2 weeks. And last Monday I came out and I did my podcast with Christine, and it was awesome, but I was feeling better that day. I thought, okay, I've taken, half a week. I totally rested over the weekend. Basically it threw me in bed like I had the flu. I had no energy. Everything was depleted. I had this massive headache all of the time, and I never have a headache. So that was weird and crazy and just frustrating and painful. But Monday I felt better, so I got up, I did the podcast, and did my blog, and I did all the things, and busy running here and there. Tuesday I got up and had a bunch of errands to run. By Tuesday afternoon I was like, oh my God, it just took me right back down. So then a whole nother week, here I am, a week from that, and I'm feeling better today. Today's the first time I've done any sort of exercise. I went swimming with my daughter this morning to kind of do some triathlon training. And I'm just realizing I really have to pace myself and take several naps during the day and not be out in the heat, because your thermoregulating system dies, and it says it takes over a year for your body to be able to regulate itself again. And some people never regain the ability to regulate their bodies. So I'm really hoping I get mine back. Because right now when I go out in the heat, like it instantly, like I'm wearing a hat today and I'm also sitting in the shade, but if I feel the sun on my head, like my head starts hurting right away, and everything feels unbearable. It feels unbearable. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I'm not a person that like can't take the heat. I can take the fucking heat, man. I do everything in the heat. I work in the heat. I play in the heat. It's never bothered me. It's just crazy because now I can't take it. So I'm trying to remember to take it easy today. But that also leads me to explaining why I'm not drinking coffee, because when I went down with that, one of the things that I realized had happened is that morning I drank a lot of coffee like I usually do. And then I did not drink a lot of water before my run because I cannot run on a full stomach. It feels horrible. I get nauseous and sick feeling. It's like water juggles in my belly as I'm running. Like it just feels horrible. So I didn't drink a lot of water before my run. But on a day like that, it was really dangerous. Early mornings is fine because I'm not running in the heat. So anyways, I was dehydrated. I had a lot of coffee. Caffeine dehydrates you. So I decided, as I recover, I'm not going to drink coffee right now. So I've replaced it with just other hot drinks like Ticino. There was another blend I found at Natural Grocers called Dandy Blend. Anyways, it's just non-caffeinated hot drinks that taste yummy. And so that's a cool thing though, because in the middle of this really terrible thing, I've gotten off caffeine. So the interesting thing, like I'm looking back on this whole thing, and it can be so frustrating. And I've had many moments during these past couple weeks that I have cried and been very angry. I do not like to rest. I do not like to be still, and I do not like to be inside. I felt trapped, frustrated, and sick. Just like totally zapped of all my energy. So no more drink right now. So I was like, can I have some more? Can mommy give it a little break? You can stand here. So I thought, okay, I need to think about not just the horrible things that this has brought, because I just easily get stuck on the things that I'm frustrated with. So I was super frustrated, and then I realized, you know what? I'm not drinking coffee, and I don't have a problem with coffee. I love coffee. I miss my coffee, but I don't miss having to have it. And I've proven to myself, I don't have to have it. I'm sorry, I was kissing Zell. I can have it if I want to, but I don't have to. And so that feels really empowering to me. And previous to this, it was like get up super early, do all my things, and be exhausted, and then drink my coffee and get energy, and then crash later on and feel tired of it. Like I tell people, and I was, kind of proud about it. I don't sit down in the middle of the day. I can't sit down all day because if I do, I'll fall asleep. And so just living in this constant state of going, and not ever allowing my body to rest. So now I'm realizing, as I'm taking this kind of oasis to let my body heal and recover, I'm realizing that's a really terrible way to live. Always rushing, always pushing myself, never having enough sleep, just drinking caffeine to make up for it. Is that really how I want to spend the rest of my life? It's not. That's horrible. How's my body going to function and give me optimal performance if I'm not taking care of it? So that's a great thing that came out of this heat exhaustion thing that I don't recommend to anybody, but I've gotten off caffeine. I've proven that I'm okay. I'm learning how to take care of myself. I'm learning how to take breaks, learning to listen to my body because I have to. At this point, my body forces me to, or I start getting a headache and I start feeling really terrible again. So it's just whenever I start noticing it, I'm like, it's time to take a nap. You have to go lay down. Just 20 minutes, go lay down. And then I wake up feeling a lot better. So I know not everybody can just go nap whenever they want, and but it is a different way of thinking about living for me. It's learning to honor my body and learning to listen to it. And, I'm really good at pushing myself and pushing my limits, but I really got myself in a bad place with it, and in a dangerous place. So it's not always a good thing, and I've always kind of prided myself in like I can really push myself to do things, but now I'm realizing that's not always a good choice, Abigail. You need to you need to know your body, and you need to know how far to push and when to stop and when to rest. So I was talking about this with Nate the other day. He said, I think the shift for you, and I loved how he worded this, is that he said, you used to be think that you were, what's the word? Of course, now I suddenly forgot it, but invincible. That you are physically invincible. You used to think about we're just going to do everything. And that was my mindset this year. That's really why I wanted to do a triathlon when I turned 40, because I'd never done a triathlon before. And I thought, what better way to enter 40 but do something I've never done? Challenge myself to learn something I've never learned and do something I've never done. And prove to the world that turning 40 does not mean, it's all downhill from there and then it's just wrinkles and sags and gray hair and no energy and everything just goes to pot. And that's what I've heard from people my whole life, just wait till you turn 40. So I was like, oh yeah, you wait till I turn 40. I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. So here I am, with this really invincible attitude about my body. I'm not gonna be like everybody else. I'm gonna prove them all wrong. And Nate said, I used to think that I was externally invincible, and I realized I wasn't. But I'm making a shift from being externally invincible to internally invincible. And when he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, it resonated inside of me. And I thought, yes, that's it. I'm learning I do have limits. My body does have limits. And yes, the more I age, the more I have to be intentional to care for myself, because my body's going to start speaking louder to me. But what a wonderful shift to go from the unreality that my body's invincible. That's not reality. Nobody's body is invincible, right? And the more we age, it is true that, our bodies do age and changes happen to our bodies. So we cannot be invincible. But inside, we can be. And I think I look at that as because I used to be so malleable inside of me. Somebody could tell me anything and I would believe them. I would listen to them. I didn't trust myself. I looked for wisdom everywhere outside of me. Because, growing up in the cult, I was taught to never trust myself, to trust everybody else, that I was not trustworthy. So I've made this change from being this person that believed everybody else and never trusted herself to learning to trust myself and not look for that outside of me, not look for the validation and the wisdom outside of me. And that doesn't mean I don't talk to people, and that doesn't mean I don't gain insight from other people. I do. I love learning things from other people. But I'm not grasping, and I'm not needing other people to validate me. I know who I am. I'm learning to love who I am. And from that invincible place inside of myself, I can reach out and learn things from people. But it's not out of this need of I don't really know anything, but I'm sure you know anything and I'm sure you have the answers, So I love that. So the thing I've been learning is I was so afraid of turning 40 and then my whole body falling apart. And I've written some blogs about it, and I think I've talked a little bit about it. I've had the femoral canal that's given me issues, and I really struggled with that before my triathlon. I kept having to go back to the chiropractor. This joint between my thigh and my hip was really hurting, and I had to be really careful with my training, and it was frustrating to me. In my 20s, I just would go run a 10K without even training. But the reality of that is, yes, I did go do a 10K with no training, but I also was sore for a whole month afterwards. So I was realizing this morning, because the chiropractor told me, he said, listen, you can't do, how did he word it? I'm trying to think about how he said it. He said, what you could do in your 20s, you're not going to do in your 40s. Like, you can't treat your body in your 40s like you did in your 20s. And I was thinking about it. I thought, you know what? The truth is, in my 20s, I didn't take care of my body. I didn't honor it. And I got away with mistreating it more. It was younger, so I had that invincible attitude, and I thought, I can do anything. I just go do things. And but it wasn't that being in my 20s meant I could just do whatever I wanted and my body could do it. No, it just meant I mistreated my body, and my body could handle it a little bit more because it was younger. But now as I'm aging, my body's like, hey, you need to take care of me. It's not allowing me to mistreat it, really. So when I look at it from that point of view, I'm like, it's not that we get old and then our bodies just fall apart. Yes, we do go through changes, and that's all true. But our bodies just start saying, hey, you can't treat me like this. I cannot continue to take care of you if you're going to treat me this way. So I'm learning to be more intentional. And that's just the whole thing with this heat exhaustion has taught me, is like, I need to be more intentional. I cannot just blow through something and expect my body to recover fine. Like, it needs me to take care of it and be intentional in how I take care of it. So what a beautiful thing. That's a really beautiful change. And that's the way I'm starting to teach myself to look at it, instead of being like, oh man, now I'm getting old and my body's falling apart and it's just horrible. I used to be able to do this and now I can't. So it's like, no, and I can't. You can only get away with, it's like when you eat junk food. When you're young and you eat junk food, you think, oh, it's not affecting me, and then you get older and you eat junk food and it affects you. But it's not that it didn't affect you when you're young. It did. It just compiles and adds up. And eventually your body says, no more. Too much. Overload. I cannot operate for you anymore. So I think it's the same way with exercising. Like, it's not that it didn't affect us and it wasn't hard on our bodies. It's just, you keep doing that to your body for so long, eventually it speaks up and says, all right, enough of that shit. Wake up and smell the coffee, or in my case, smell the Ticino. Anyways. So this book I'm listening to about ageism is crazy amazing. I'm probably not even halfway through it, but I will absolutely recommend it to anybody and everybody, because I think it's just as important as sexism and racism, because our society and our culture teaches us to be afraid of aging. And there's so many stereotypes and so many expectations basically put on you depending on a certain age that you are. And it's really sad. And as I'm listening to this book, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It actually makes me excited about aging. And it talks about not saying like old people and young people. Like, that's ageism. Like, looking at as the olders is what she calls it in the book. Like, getting older. It's a true thing. But there's not old people and young people, because what that signifies is that at a certain age you're old. When the truth is, there's always somebody older than you and there's always somebody younger than you. So who gets to say? She makes some amazing points in that book. So I've been really excited to change the way that I think about aging, because I don't want to be afraid of it. And I hate, and that was part of the reason why, like, I wanted to prove the thing wrong about turning 40. Is like, I hate when people talk about being old and, oh, I'm just old now. And it's like people quit. And I think it's what bothers me the most. It's like, don't quit. don't quit living. There's no age ever that you should quit at. Like, you should continue to live your life. Yes, changes will happen, and you will be limited more as you get older, depending on your physical circumstances. But that doesn't mean you can't live a thriving, beautiful, amazing, vibrant life. So I have some notes here. I'm gonna look at these. One of the things that I've realized with this whole thing of taking care of my body is, I asked my triathlon coach, like, what do I need to be taking? Because I lost so many electrolytes and salt from my run that my body was very depleted. So she sent me this list of magnesium and potassium and electrolytes and salt, really good mineral salts to take. And I ordered them all, and I've started taking them as my daily routine. And I realized this is not just how to get over heat stroke. Or heat exhaustion. It's like a good thing to just implement into my life. I need to be giving my body these supplements every day, because as we get older, some of the things our body makes less of, and that's just the reality of it. And so learning how to be intentional, what does my body need, especially if I'm going to ask it to work hard for me, make sure I'm replacing what I take out of it. So in this book, Ashton Applewhite, she said it's very interesting because we're all, terrified of growing old. We're terrified of aging. But the strange thing about it is, like, it's the club that we're all counting on joining that we're terrified of being in. But we're all counting on joining it because nobody wants to die young, but nobody wants to get old. So what the fuck? Like, we're expecting to be ageless, right? Like, we think there's this space of, can we just tap into being ageless? Like, that's ridiculous. This is the club that we're all counting on joining. So why are we afraid to be older? Like, that's the goal of life, isn't it? But we're all, like, putting our brakes on. It's like, when we're young, we can't wait to grow up. We want to grow up and be an adult. And then we become an adult. And we're like, oh no, we must stop time. I don't want to grow old. But it just makes no sense. The happiest people, and they have done thousands of surveys and done a lot of research in this area of the happiest people. And the happiest age groups of people are the young people. We're not like 20 years, like the kids. So we're talking like little kids are the happiest, and 85 and older are the happiest. Okay, those two groups of people, little kids and 85 and older. I don't want to say old people, because that depends on who you're around. And they interviewed thousands and thousands of people of older ages, and even people like 85 years old, 9 years old, they would say, I don't feel old. Because the truth is, like, inside, everyone pictures feeling old to be this certain way, but then you get to that age and it doesn't feel like that. Everyone says 50 is old, and Jennifer's like, I don't feel old. Like, it's just ridiculous. But everyone that's like, oh, you're 50 is gonna be like, oh my gosh, you're old. Like, that's so silly. It's really a terrible way of looking at living life. So she talks about, like, not buying into that, not buying into what our society and our culture have taught us to be afraid of. It's a marketing thing, really, people. To buy all the skin care products and do all of the things. They create fear in us. And when we should be looking at it as this privilege, it's a privilege to grow older. It's a privilege to still be alive, to still be on this earth, to still be able to wake up and enjoy our lungs breathing in air, and the birds outside, and the horses, and the beauty of life. Like, it's a privilege to grow older. She said, she was quoting somebody else in the book at that point, I don't remember who it was, but they were talking about, like, the whole thought of agelessness, like everyone trying to be ageless, It says agelessness, that whole mindset deprives deprives the old of one of the most hard-earned resources, which is their age. So, like we're stealing that from older people by looking on Raina's getting a little. There we go. Hey, kindness. Sometimes Raina dominates the scene because she's the dominant mare at the moment. Hey, why don't you come over here and let the other girls come in? Come here, over here. Raina, come here, over here. So the other horses will come over here. Just come on this side of me. Anyways, we're depriving we are depriving them of one of the most hard-earned resources they have, which is their age. And just how, it's a terrible way. It's a terrible way of living. It's a terrible way of looking at life. Let's see. What else do I have here? Okay, so she talked about also there's no normal or average way to age. Like some people, some olders, they want to live a quiet life and just pay their bills and retire and just, do their quiet thing. And that's awesome. But other people want to still, do big things, and they have big aspirations and big dreams. And that's okay too. You don't ever have to stop, and you don't ever have to retire, and you don't ever have to quit. Some people retire, some people don't. There's no normal or right way to do it. Any way goes. There's as many ways to do it as there are people in the world. And I've talked about that before. Everybody is unique. Everybody is different. There is no average, normal person. But our society would tell us there is, right? There's the right way to love. There's the right way to live our life. It's just ridiculous. So this ageism thing applies to that also. So, there's no standard. There's no box that you have to fit in. You can be who you want. You can do what you want, and you can embrace life wholeheartedly. And the cool thing about, the people that they interviewed that were 85 years old and older, that were so happy. She said it's like they have learned conscious contentment. So yes, the truth is their bodies are changing, and they are a lot more limited than people in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s even, but they aren't they're not stuck in that space of, oh, I wish I could have this body back and do this. They've learned to be content and enjoy their life. So those are the people that most enjoy their lives. The little kids and the olders, because they have arrived at conscious contentment. And I thought, I don't want to wait till I'm 85 or older to have conscious contentment. I want to work on that right now. Because the truth is, there's always something, like my knees are hurt, or I had this, I had a bursitis, I had my canal thing, I've had back pain that put me out for months. I've had a lot of different things over the last few years, but instead of thinking about it as, I can't wait for all of these things to be over and then I can get back to living, it's like, no, learn how to continue living, to adjust and make the changes I need to make, give my body the rest and the supplements it needs, and be content and find meaning even in that time where I can't do all the things maybe I love to do. And that's hard for me, but I want to embrace that now because I want to live fulfilled and happy my whole life. I don't want to spend this middle-aged time of my life lamenting that I'm not in my 20s anymore, but fearful of being older. It's just ridiculous. And that is the most unhappy group of people. It's the middle-aged people, because we're all just in this, space of discontentment, and dreading getting older, which we shouldn't dread that. The really cool thing that she talked about, in the time that the lady wrote the book, she was 66 years old. She said, the neat thing about as we age, we don't lose the younger parts of ourselves. We still have all parts of ourselves. So the younger version of us, the little kids, the younger version, the middle age, all of those are still inside us as we get older, and it just makes a bigger expanse. We just expand inside. And so that's why even older people, they don't feel old, from what they thought old would feel like, because inside you still have every part of yourself, every version of yourself. It just expands. So your experiences all throughout life create this beautiful diversity inside of you, and wisdom and knowledge that you have gained over the years from all the different parts of yourself that you've been. And she said, it's true that even people that aren't really happy in their life, or feel, in their 40s or 50s, and that complain about, I just wish I was young again. She said, if you honestly offered them that chance, would you really go back to being in your 20s? They wouldn't want to do it. She said, unless they could take all of the experience and knowledge that they have now with them. And so the truth is, we don't want to be that, go back to this, because we lose all that beautiful experience and learning that we've had along the way. So looking at it as life, the older we get, the more experience and learning and the wider our view gets, if we allow it to. Because she also makes that point of, there's also that stereotype that if you're older, then you're wiser. But that's not necessarily true, because you can age and get stuck and not choose to continue learning and evolving and growing. So age does not equal wisdom. And that's what the Bible preaches too, that, gray hairs those people have wisdom. They can have wisdom, but having gray hairs doesn't mean you do have wisdom. So it really is, you have to be intentional as you age to continue learning and growing and evolving. So that's what I've been thinking about. Oh, she said this thing of, it was really cool. There's been several people that she quotes in her book, and that talked about they hate when people say, how old are you? Because they feel like if they tell them how old they are, then they'll be stereotyped or discounted for certain things. Because there are culture stereotypes for different ages. And so she said one thing that one lady started doing was, she just refused. It was like a political stance. She refused to tell anybody her age. She said, I tell people that I'm age nonconforming. I don't conform to that. And I thought that is so cool. She also quoted Colin Bevan, who's an author and an environmental activist. He said that he was going to be, what did he say? I think he said age queer. Instead of gender queer, he was going to be age queer, where he was going to be non-conforming. He didn't like the stereotypes that was put on the different ages. And so, he decided, I'm going to be age queer. Basically, I'm not going to buy into what people think about when this certain age. If you tell them a certain age, they think this about you, or you're going to be like this, or, you're going to be forgetful, or, not strong anymore, or not capable, and all of these things that we instantly get in our minds. And they did these tests, which is crazy. They did these really simple tests where they had these control groups, and they flashed a screen with a bunch of words so fast that only your subliminal mind would catch on to it. Your conscious mind didn't even catch on to it. But this one doctor flashed a bunch of words up on the screen to this control group, and they were all words that basically we think about when we think about old people, like handicapped or slow, or I don't remember all the words that she said, but anything that you think about when you think about old people, they flash those words upon the scene, and then that was it. Then I think they had like all the negative stuff, so any negative words that related to old people, and then they had a different control group that I think they did positive words for them. Anyways, when the two groups left that whatever it was, that meeting they were in or whatever, where they just sat there and had that, they walked out from the campus, they said that the control group that had the negative messages flashed to them, they walked slower. They suddenly all walked slower. And they were totally subconscious about it, but they observed these two groups. The one group felt great, and they just, they went off throughout the day, and the other group walked slower because they were subconsciously like, oh yeah, we're supposed to be old and slow. Isn't that crazy? It was really crazy. It just talked about the power of, what our society tells us. It's the power of thought, the power of suggestion that actually affects the way we walk. And I thought, this is why, like, I so badly want to shout to the world that getting older doesn't mean turning into somebody that just is useless or, not as smart or can't do as much. And like, yes, you will have limits, and things do happen, but you don't have to stop living. And these people they physically could have walked faster, but because they had this negative messages put to their subconscious, they slowed down. It's crazy. I was like, how much do we not notice that we're affected by when we go in the stores and we see the magazines and we go, we listen to the podcast and we watch TV and all of the books. Social media is always flashing these images in front of us and these words. And so, of course, we're afraid of getting old because there's a lot of negative messages about it. It works for our culture because the system wants us to buy into it, so that we're all rushing to spend money on these things so that we can try and not age. So I'm like, fuck this system. Like, let's look at the truth. The truth is, it's a privilege to grow older. Like, we're all counting on getting into that club. Like, let's not show up there embarrassed and ashamed. Let's show up there proud. And when someone says, like, oh wow, you don't look your age, like she talks about, like, that's not a compliment. That's also a type of ageism, because that's assuming that 50 doesn't look like this, or that there's a certain look for it. Like, that's ridiculous. We all have different genetics. And so let's not be ashamed of our age, because if you are evolving and growing and learning from your experiences of life, you are expanding. This beautiful wealth inside of you is expanding as you grow older. So let's continue to thrive in our lives, to find ways to be healthier, to find ways to take care of ourselves, like I'm trying to learn to do, taking supplements, learning to listen to my body and rest. And let's embrace this growing up, continually growing up and learning instead of being afraid of it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to buy into that. I think it's as much of a lie as everything else that we're fighting against in the racism and the queer community. I don't want to do it. I don't want someone to tell me that this is a valuable age, but this is not a valuable age. No, living is valuable. And as we continue, we gain more value as we grow older. It's not a scary thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a privilege. It's a beautiful thing. So let's all stop trying to look young. And like, I get it, I have the same struggles. Like, we all have those struggles, and it's hard to embrace the reality. sometimes it's hard to embrace the reality. For me, like slowing down was really hard for me because I had to embrace the reality that I cannot continue to treat my body like this. It's not going to take it. It's going to shut down on me. I have got to start paying attention and caring for myself. But I didn't want to face that reality. I was like, that sucks. I don't want to believe that. But it's silly. So I struggle, I cry, I got mad, and I'm working through this. And the truth is, I will always be working through this. I think it's a continual thing. I was laughing with Jennifer the other day because I listened to the last podcast that Glennon Doyle did on We Can Do Hard Things. They said that they were going to be taking a break for a couple weeks and starting back in September. I think they're just doing some replays. But they talked about, like what they'd learned over the last year. And I loved it because, Amanda Doyle said, she was always had this thing in her mind that, growing through life and learning was this, I think it's called linear way of doing it, like this line. So you're going from this point to this point to this point, and you're going down the line. But she said she's realized that's not true. Like as we grow through life and as we learn, it's not this linear way of learning. It's actually circles. Good. Oh my God, there's a really loud car. Hold on just a minute. I can hardly talk over it. So we're learning through circles in life. Like, it's not this going from point A to point B. It's always learning and always returning to these same concepts. And it feels so frustrating now, but I really related to that. I was like, yes, oh my God, I hate that. Because I'm always like, damn it, didn't I learn this lesson already? I'm pretty sure I've had to learn this lesson like 100 times. Why am I still returning to this? And I realized, okay, it's not this, because I look at it like a flaw about myself. Like, I must not have learned my lesson yet. Why am I still back here, damn it? And so the thing with getting heat exhaustion, having to rest, like I felt like I was returning to this lesson that life keeps bringing back to me, which is love your body, take care of yourself, pay attention, be intentional. Stop pushing. Like you cannot keep pushing forever. You have to take breaks. You have to take care of yourself. This lesson has been coming to me since the beginning of my life, I swear. And I'm really tired of it. And I would wish I can just learn it and move on and never return to it. But that's not what the reality is. I will continue to return to it. And I feel like every time I get a little bit better and I get a little bit deeper and I'm able to more fully embrace it, but I don't think that's ever this one and done thing. I would love if it was, but I don't. It was comforting to me to hear Amanda and Glennon and Abby talk about it in their podcast of like, it's like circles. We just keep, Glennon says it's like this round staircase, we just keep going around and around. And so Amanda was laughing. She said, it's just like, she's coming around the mountain and coming around the mountain and still coming around the mountain. And so I told Jennifer, I was like, damn it, like this lesson, I thought I learned it, with the last huge thing that I had to take care of myself. But here I am, somehow feeling like I'm back in the same place. And I'm still coming around the mountain, and coming around the mountain. And my question is, I was like, there's two ways I can look at this. I can be like, why am I still continuing to go around this mountain? I would like to go around a different mountain, thank you. Or, hey, at least I'm riding 6 white horses, right? So that's the way I'm going to look at it. We're all still coming around the mountain, okay? And we will be forevermore. But at least we're riding 6 white horses. How does one even ride 6 white horses? I don't know. But that's what the song says, okay? Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up here today. There's these 3 words that in her book, Ageism, This Chair Rocks, Ashton talks about, growing older. And being an older is like, the more you age, you have this rich deep, invaluable embodiment within yourself. And I thought that's such a beautiful thing. Rich, deep, invaluable. Those 3 words are just beautiful. And I want to look at growing older like that. Like every year I am becoming more rich and deep and invaluable to society, because I bring not just the younger part of myself, I bring all the different parts of myself. The child, the teenager, the young woman in her 20s, the woman in her 30s, and then the woman in her 40s that learned this in life, and then like it just grows, it just adds on. It's like having this resume that's just amazing. The more experiences and the more learning you have. So I love that. That's the mindset that I'm going to continue with, and I want to encourage all of us listening to not be afraid of that. Let's embrace it. Let's prove society wrong, that there is no stereotype to different ages. Everybody gets to be who they want to be. And everybody brings something unique and beautiful to this world. And the older you get, the deeper, the richer, and the more invaluable you are to society. Now that is something to celebrate. I love you guys. I'm grateful that I felt good enough to be out here today. I'm definitely going to have to take a nap, but really grateful to be healing. And I'm trying to take it slow in my recovery, not push myself because I don't want to go backwards. So yeah, send me some good vibes, and remember that you deserve to love yourself. You deserve to take care of yourself. Let's not be hard on our bodies. Let's not be upset with our bodies. Let's value our bodies and let's take care of them. Let's find the supplements we need and the rest we need. And let's continue to grow older and become even more loving to ourselves the older we get. So, sending you all of my love and all of my good vibes to everybody out there. And excited for just more opportunities to expand my mind and to grow new pathways in my brain, and to not be afraid to get older, right? It's a beautiful thing. Okay, I'm going to peace out, everybody. Looks like the horses are taking a nap. And I got to finish my Totino, which I will drink coffee still some, but I still do love it. But I'm really happy that I can drink it when I want to now instead of have to drink it. So I'm still coming around the mountain, and I'm sure we all are, so I'll be sure to run into you at some point. Until then, I will see you next week, and take care of yourselves. Be careful if you're out in the heat. It's serious, and I learned that the hard way, so whatever. Better to learn it the hard way than to never learn it, I guess, right? All right. I love you guys. See you next week. Peace out.
Psst. Did you think that this episode was cool? Because I did. I think you should just share it with one friend. Thank you so much. Bye.
If I wrote it in a song, would you believe it more? If I busted out the lock, would you open the door? If I dare to speak my truth, would you still value me? If I reach my hand to you, would you reach yours back to me? Darling, there's no reason why you should have to hide. Step out into the open air and claim your freedom waiting there.